Plenty of people dream of becoming content creator. More than half of Gen Z said they'd want to be an influencer when they grow up. And on paper, it looks like the dream. The fame, the money, the attention, a whole audience that revolves only around you. So what happens when someone gets all of it? The engaged fan base, the sponsors and merch companies all lining up, the record-breaking numbers, and then just walks away. Sameko Saba broke a record nobody thought could be broken. 1 million subscribers just 3 days after she debuted, faster than anyone in the history of the medium. That happened in June 2025, and by the spring of 2026, she'd vanished from content creation entirely, and her fans had no idea why. It all came to a head in April when somebody finally got fed up and canceled their membership, which on its own is the least interesting thing that can happen on the internet. After all, people cancel subscriptions every single day and the world keeps turning. But that post hit a nerve that turned out to run through an entire community and beyond. It had found the exact spot where it hurt and pressed. By the next morning, it wasn't one annoyed subscriber anymore. Quote tweets stacked on quote tweets. People who'd been stewing for weeks all talked at once, and one post in particular sailed past 1.5 million views while the replies turned into open warfare. The name Sameko Saba stayed trending for days, but unfortunately what was being said about her wasn't all that positive. Truthfully, that cancelled membership didn't start anything. The water had been at low boil for months, covered, rattling, building pressure with nowhere to go. And all that one post did was knock the lid off. Everything that came pouring out was already there. The thing that set them off was almost insultingly simple. She hadn't gone live since February 7th. No stream, barely a word, dead silence stretching across months. From someone whose debut was, by numbers, one of the most watched arrivals VTubing had ever produced. She had previously walked away from the biggest VTuber agency on the planet, left it on purpose, and the reason everyone thought so at the time was freedom. The freedom to do this her own way, on her own schedule, without anyone above her telling her when to show up. That was the whole point. And she's now streaming less than she ever did while she was within that company. Go looking for an explanation and you'll find no shortage of them. Some people will tell you that she's a grifter cashing royalty checks from her couch. Others will say that she's just too sick to work. And there's the one where the pressure of her fame was already going to win. Netizens have landed on all of them, and you can see why. But every one of those theories are really missing the point. To understand what's actually happening, you have to go back a lot further than that. Years before any of this, before the record-breaking numbers, before the agency, there was a girl on the internet pretending to be drunk.
Fuck! The teardrop in my eye won't
That's Senzawa, late 2017, give or take. This little voice starts showing up on YouTube. High, sweet, innocent, the kind of voice you'd expect reading a children's book. Except it was attached to some of the most deranged, crude, and gloriously stupid humor you could imagine. And that contrast was the whole appeal, and people couldn't look away. She made her name doing what fans lovingly called high-effort shitposting. She takes some piece of throwaway internet garbage and put an absurd amount of real skill into it. We're talking full vocal range on a rap parody of a copy pasta nobody asked for.
Okay, boomer. Whatever you say, boomer.
Stuff that had no business sounding as good as it did sounded good. And layered over all of it was the drunk act. She'd slur her way through chaotic streams and sometimes just come apart on camera as they went.
I haven't even started drinking yet and I'm already ready to yell. I hope you guys like this game so far, and if it's on Steam. Oh, I'm looking at the sky. Is this what it feels like to be dead?
And her fans absolutely ate it up. She sold it so well that people genuinely started debating whether it was an act or not. Some were convinced that she really did have a drinking problem. Others figured she just got nervous performing and used it to take the edge off. I wasn't there, and Reddit being Reddit, I couldn't tell you which it was. But here's what I do know. At one point, she edited her YouTube description to spell out that the drunk thing was a bit, and it barely moved the needle. People wanted more of it regardless. More chaos, more mess, more of the unhinged version they decided was the real her. She built this persona as a joke, and now she was left trapped inside it by the exact same people who loved her. So she'd leave. Senzawa never really kept a schedule anyways. She dropped a video that blew up, disappeared for months, came back, disappeared again. One account on Reddit retells how they believe one of the last messages in her Discord server was something along the lines of, "Every time I visit here, I die a little inside." She was always a feast or famine content creator, even all the way back then.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. See you guys in 9 months.
And then, in 2020, she left for good. Her second to last post on Twitter was just this, a fistful of nonsense. She streamed once more on June 23rd and then went dark. There was no goodbye and no explanation, not even an announcement, just nothing. Her fans had no idea where she went. It took months for them to piece it all together. And what they figured out was that she hadn't quit at all. No, she disappeared right as a new Shark Girl was debuting over at a company called Hololive. A few months after Senzawa went dark, Hololive, the biggest VTuber agency in the world, announced its first ever English-speaking lineup, and one of them was a shark. Think of a VTuber agency like your record label mixed with Disney. Well, without its controversies. Actually, scratch that. They are riddled with controversies too. But anyways, they do hire entertainers and give them a high-quality animated VTuber avatar, tech gear, and a massive built-in fan base. The creator gets to be a VTuber under a huge brand name, and in exchange, the agency owns the character and takes a cut of the money they make from streams, merch, and concerts they organize. So amidst all of that, Gura debuted. And Gura is a tiny apex predator with a hoodie and a trident and a voice many recognized. She was a great pick for Hololive. After all, she had already proven that she could be popular online and that she understood internet audiences. Her Senzawa channel had been a massive success, so her debut was one of the most anticipated streams the scene had ever seen, and it started with a technical problem and a long delay. So thousands of people just sat there waiting. And when she finally came through, her very first word as Gura was that became an iconic meme, and a meme pulled in tens of thousands more people that all started spamming A in chat. And from that second, she basically never came back down. She became the most subscribed VTuber in history. Not the most subscribed English one, the most subscribed full stop. The timing was almost unfair. This is late 2020 we're talking about. The world is locked inside, everyone's online, and starving for something to watch. And here comes a cute shark girl singing nostalgic English songs in a space that almost had no big English VTubers in it yet. It was the perfect combination of luck and preparation coming together. She wasn't doing it alone. Some of the most beloved stuff from that era came out of her friendships with the other members of her gen, in particular with one of them, Amelia Watson. Fans shipped the two as Ame-same, since Same means shark in Japanese, and the two of them leaned all the way into it. Amelia openly called Gura her wife, and their dynamic, the Ame's gremlin/troll energy mixed with Gura's sassy but gullible nature, made for legendary streams. During the early days of Holo EN server, their duo streams built a lot of the server's early lore. They'd play Minecraft on separate streams at the same time and kept colliding into each other's world, crashing cars, botching rescues, and Gura dying roughly every 4 minutes while Ame tried to save her. Their A Way Out playthrough was arguably their most legendary gaming collab. Watching them try to coordinate a prison escape was pure chaos, and they constantly messed with each other.
Can I get a shot of this from the side one more time? I want to see what Hey, bada. Hey! Okay, let me
Good luck with your lame responsibilities. I'll be out here playing darts. Let me know when you're free to have fun.
Listen, I'm here being a dad. You wouldn't understand. My kid just avoided me by climbing out the window.
You guys
Make the shot, kid!
It's not fair.
What? My kid sucks!
And not just online, offline too. Whenever Ame and Gura managed to meet in real life, it was a massive event for the community. Their offline collabs, like doing VR together and playing Twister, are some of the most viewed and are still some of the most clipped moments in Holo EN history. Not to mention their impromptu karaoke duets and specifically their cover/singing of the Fortnite meme song Chug Jug With You that went wildly viral and became another defining meme for the duo. As for Gura herself, she accomplished many things that very few content creators would ever have the opportunity to do. Among some of her biggest achievements, she sang Take Me Out to the Ball Game at a Dodger Stadium during an actual major league game. Tokyo made her an official tourism ambassador. She also showed up in a Taco Bell commercial. Yep, a shark VTuber was being hired by a baseball stadium, a city government, and a fast food chain. That's the level we're talking about. Gawr wasn't just big for a VTuber. We're talking industry breaking big. And I already made a video on exactly why she blew up the way she did and the challenges she faced along the way, so the link's up there if you want to go see the deep dive. The short version of it is that she had the timing, she had the talent, and she had years of being Senzawa hiding underneath her polish. And people figured out that part pretty fast. The shark was the same girl who'd vanished without a goodbye a year before. She just never confirmed it because she didn't have to. And she wasn't really allowed to neither. But her voice gave it away. Whatever the name on the model said, Senzawa was still in there. But even back then, Gura wasn't well. At the top, the biggest VTuber in the world still took a 2-month break for her health in December 2022. The physical demands of her corporate obligations began catching up to her. On December 16, she tweeted, "Going to the doctors today. It's all attached to my health, so it's stressful to deal with. Sorry I've been so quiet about it." And then on December 21, Cover Corp issued an official announcement saying that she was suspending her streams to recover. And Gura followed up by tweeting she decided together that it would be the best for me to take serious time for my health. She never explicitly stated what was actually wrong, but outside of the formal announcement, the trail was there anyway. She'd mentioned her doctor warning her not to get out of bed too fast in the morning because she was prone to fainting, and she had the stories to back it up, including one time she fainted and fell backward into an AC unit, and another where she passed out in the bathtub.
Speaking of being able to hop up out of bed really fast in the morning, my doctor told me not to do that anymore. I was so eager to get out of bed. I would hop out of bed and I would faint. I would pass out. One time I hopped out of bed so quickly, then I went to another room and I fainted. I fell backwards into like a ladder in an air conditioning unit. I also faint in the bathtub or in the shower. Yeah.
In 2023, there was backlash regarding a pre-chat incident due to people fighting in her chat over her not streaming for weeks at a time and going radio silent. Well, according to them, Gura ended up disabling her livestream pre-chat and pinned a comment. It was the first time Gura directly addressed how her streaming frequency dropped and mentioned a new normal. Discussions on forums and Reddit exploded, and even all the way back then, people had already started expressing concerns with her communications. This is also where we can see the start of a fan-base divide, where some of her most disgruntled fans would later turn into her most obsessive antis, and while others adapted and managed their expectations. On September 2024, she posted about going through a rough health spot while thanking fans for anniversary wishes. And on February 2025, she mentioned having a fever plus other health issues that delayed her Valentine's content, but planned to return the following week. And those bouts of disappearing because of her health only got worse over time. Early Gura streamed constantly. Late Gura barely streamed at all. The last few years before she graduated, her schedule went from packed to almost empty. There was long gaps everywhere, hiatus after hiatus, until she was hardly doing the normal streaming and idol stuff at all. The strange part is that it barely dented her. The old VODs and the big corporate projects kept her enormous even while she was rarely live. And all of it traced back to the same place. The stress of being the face of an entire industry mixed with her health struggles, they were crushing her.
I am sure that being the #1 subscribed VTuber comes with a lot of pressure and anxiety. How did you feel about being catapulted into this position? Has this feeling maybe changed over the years? Have you been able to handle it better, etc.?
Terrified. Wow.
Right from the beginning, or did it maybe take some time in the beginning where you were still like just in this like high, this joyful
No.
high? No? Okay.
From the very start, it was pretty difficult. I had like troubles eating and keeping food down, so I was kind of working off of adrenaline fumes all of the time. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. It was really hard to balance all of it. I also had a lot of stressful things going on, stressful like company stuff going on. I've been juggling really badly.
So by the time she announced she was leaving Hololive in 2025, a lot of people weren't shocked at all.
I'm really sorry for worrying you or upsetting you with this announcement. This has been a very long time coming, but today I am here to announce that I will be graduating from Hololive on May 1st, 2025.
They had watched her drift away from the spotlight for years, and to them, it wasn't a bombshell. It felt like something that had been coming for a long, time.
Do you wish you weren't in this #1 position?
Sometimes I think about it. Like, I do wonder if it would have changed the stress levels, my path. But also, I'm really thankful for the opportunities that were given to me. I wouldn't change what happened for the world, kind of thing. I look back and I look through that incredibly hard time that I went through, finding my footing. I can say that I'm proud of myself.
I'm so happy to hear that, because you
Yeah.
really should be. You really should be proud. You've been put in a very difficult position and you made it through as long as you could, and you still ended up taking a very difficult decision to leave.
On May 1st, 2025, Gura officially graduated. She left Hololive. The most subscribed VTuber in history was walking away from the company that had made her a household name. And everyone wondered why.
I heard the news. I think not everyone heard the news. I don't want to talk about it too much. It makes me sad. But I hope she will be happy.
Your Oshi is graduating? Oh, be happy for the times that you had. Your Oshi will continue to live on. And know that your Oshi is still out there. So don't be a f***ing stranger. You know what I mean?
Gura decided to leave Hololive. If you pull this up, it has 18 million views.
Gura graduated! Gura is one of the biggest fucking VTubers in the world.
The official reason was that she had disagreement with management, differences over where the company was heading,
My reasons being disagreements with management and company direction.
and Hololive had grown into this massive idol machine after they went public. All big concerts and tightly managed PR and merch cycles, and Gura had always been happy as just streaming spontaneously on her own terms. There were clips of her mentioning ideas getting stuck in the company's pipeline for months. One of her songs, Full Color, reportedly sat unreleased for over a year and a half, and you can imagine how that would wear on someone. However, besides the creative difference, there was one part of her graduation that really stood out for many.
So many eyes and expectations. I remember there being many days where the stress was so overwhelming that I couldn't eat or keep food down.
Beyond the stalled bureaucracy, beyond the responsibilities, being the most popular VTuber of the company meant that that role came with expectations, whether she streamed or not. Will Gura be there? Will Gura show up to this project? The expectations and the weight that her fame carried was so overwhelming for her that there were days she couldn't keep food down.
Or, oh my god, my stomach. Did you hear that?
Not a big deal.
I have to log off for a minute.
Eh?
I'm gonna go cry.
There was something almost cruel about that, because you can fix a management disagreement by leaving the company, but the eyes and the expectations were never Hololive's to give back. They'd attached themselves to her, and they'd followed her under any name she'd ever perform under. She wasn't walking away from them, she was taking them with her. Gura would become a landmark name no matter which personality she streamed under. She wasn't leaving to escape a company, now really. She was leaving to escape being the center of gravity, and you can't quit that by switching jobs. So the most famous VTuber in history walks away. The problem is she couldn't take herself with her. When you sign with a company like Hololive, you don't own your character. They do. It's like an actor playing a role in a franchise. The actor brings a voice and a personality, but a studio owns the character itself, the name, and the face of the design. So when the talent leaves, the character stays with the company. Gura, the model, the name, all of it belonged to Cover Corp, not to the person who voiced her. She left Gura behind. She kept her voice though, her personality, and her fan base if they decided to follow her in her reincarnation. But she also can't use the old Gura channel to point fans towards anything new, because advertising her independent channel off the company's IP could get her into legal trouble. So how does she came back without being allowed to say it's her? Well, she left some clues. Initially, before she even graduated, she had begun leaving some cryptic clues on her Senzawa account. Gura officially graduated from Hololive on May 1st, 2025. However, the first hint of her transition actually occurred approximately 6 months prior to her graduation. On November 3rd, 2024, Senzawa updated her Twitter bio to read #1 fan of Gura and leaving the end of the sentence blank. as a cryptic tease. Fans only later realized this meant she'd been planning the transition and rebranding for quite some time. However, 19 days after Gura's graduation, she revealed the full meaning of her bio when Senzawa updated it again to officially state #1 fan of @Gura and @Sameko Saba. Finally, the fans had a hint and, more importantly, had a name to attach their excitement on. They flooded the new handle with follows and the news traveled super fast. Gura was reincarnating as Sameko Saba. The name was the final confirmation. If you read Japanese, Same means shark, that's Gura, Ko means child, Saba means mackerel, child of a shark reborn as a new fish. Then Saba started posting on her own Twitter account. May 19th was her first tweet, yo-ho, and a fish emoji. It got 10.8 million views on 2 words from an account that had never streamed a second of content. She put up a couple of songs soon after that, and the voice settled whatever doubt there was left with audiences. By the time she set a debut date, over 554,000 people had already subscribed to her channel that had never even gone live. Her fans hadn't seen her in months, some of them in years. And then finally came G-Day.
Yo ho, yo ho, yo ho. Hi. I didn't think I was going to be like this, but here I am. Hello. Hi. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Sameko Saba, and I am here. My name is Saba. It's nice to meet you. I've never met you before. I have a fishtail. I'm a fish. Don't ask any other further questions.
The debut peaked just over 200,000 viewers 9 minutes into her stream. A few days later, she passed 1 million subscribers, faster than anyone had ever seen in VTubing history. And the tweet she posted to mark it all was this: a Jaws joke. 500,000 subscribers before a single stream is already absurd, but she crossed 1 million in under 3 days. For comparison, the previous record for fastest VTuber to 1 million was held by Salome, and that took around 13 days. Saba did it under 3. By the standards anyone tracks these things, her debut was the second biggest VTuber debut ever recorded, beaten only by another ex-Hololive talent's return. And later, in 2025, when Streams Charts ranked the most watched VTubers of the year by peak viewership, Saba landed in the top 10. The only English VTuber ahead of her was Gura. She was, in effect, competing with her own ghost. So 3 names now: Senzawa, then Gura, then Saba. Same voice, same pattern underneath all of them. A huge arrival, a wave of love, and eventually the disappearing. She'd done it twice. The only question left was how long this one would last. Sameko Saba did not have a regular indie VTuber debut. Not only because she had an already established fan base that followed her, but also because she had an entire machine operating behind her. Weeks before that first Yo-Ho tweet on May 2nd, 2025, a company called Incoming Next LLC filed trademark applications for the Sameko Saba name and logo. They handled performance services, printed goods, toys, digital files, the whole catalog. The brand Sameko Saba was legally locked down before the public had even heard about it for the first time. And this information is pulled straight from the public US trademark records, by the way. The company was registered in Delaware. What's interesting about companies incorporated in Delaware is that it lets the owner stay anonymous, which is perfect for VTubers. Also, the tax setup is friendly because the legal system there is built to protect them. The lawyer on the filing makes it even clearer. The trademarks were handled by Michelle Robichaud at Auden Law and Media. And Auden isn't some random firm you find on Google. They've done legal work for major VTuber agencies and big-name independent streamers in the past. I've also actually worked with Auden in the past as well, and everything I've heard lines up about them. They're generally good at this. Point being is that Saba walked into independence with the same caliber of legal firepower as the corporation she'd left behind. And her model matched the money. Her Live 2D model was built by top-tier artists and rigged by one of the most respected riggers in the industry. She didn't just have one artist for the L2D and one for the rigging as it usually goes. She had an entire team.
Here are all the people that helped make today possible.
Sameko Saba's character model was designed by Shu, also known as Shu-kun, and illustrated by Tusaki Shina. The live 2D rigging for her model was handled by the riggers Celia and Quanchi. And then there was the merch. The day she debuted, she dropped a full line with Omocat, a streetwear brand that sits right at the crossroad of anime and fashion. They did a lot of HoloLive collabs in the past as well. There was a $200 debut bundle with a hand-signed postcard at the top and a little $6 blind bag pins at the bottom, hoodies, all of the works, and it all sold out almost immediately. Sameko Saba didn't have to claw for attention from fellow creators either. Other huge independent VTubers who'd recently left HoloLive, Doobie, Nimi Nightmare, were right there hyping her up. There was no marketing budget needed when your friends are some of the biggest name in the scene and they're all vouching for you at once. And it was genuinely so hype. I can't even begin to describe how everyone was so excited for her return. It's like the entire industry was just waiting with bated breath, wondering what she would do next. So what do you even call this? It's branded as an indie, it walks and talks like an indie, but she's got the LLC, the trademark attorney, the elite production behind her, and the premium fashion collab, and a built-in network of A-list peers. It was a sophisticated setup. Indie feels sort of like a stretch here, and corporate isn't right either. It's something in between that we don't really have a name for it yet, but I have a feeling it's gonna start showing up a lot more often. But whatever you call it, it created a problem that's going to haunt the rest of the story, because everyone who showed up for Saba showed up expecting this level of operation, this level of production, not be patient with a solo creator finding her feet. After all, her health announcements were a while ago, and we all know the internet has a short memory. They had all settled in the background now. Barely anyone mentioned them anymore. Meanwhile, this debut was calibrated to a polished, professional, top-of-the-industry product, with all the output and consistency that implies. Nobody was prepared to be patient. And after all, why would they be? Nothing about this looked like it needed patience. For a while, it was everything everyone hoped it would be. July 2025 was Saba at full power. 12 streams in a single month, plus a couple of videos, which, if you know her history, is a staggering amount of output. She was on, and when she was on, she was magic. She'd rage her way through horror games, screaming at Resident Evil 4 and Alien Isolation, talking trash to the game the whole way through as a coping mechanism for being genuinely terrified. Then she'd turn around and play rhythm game and she was cracked at them. On other nights, she'd boot up some dumb little simulator and yap at chat for hours. And she could sing, not just pop covers, but jazz, bossa nova, and old city pop with a beautiful voice. At least, that's mine and many others' humble opinion.
That means divided by, right? Got your nose! I got your nose! What are you gonna do now? I got your nose! Okay. Sorry. No. Okay. This is a paper boat on me, by the way. Paper boat. Do I need to explain the symbolism behind a paper boat, or do you guys kind of understand it? Paper boat. Maybe it's subjective, like most things are in art. So maybe a paper boat means something different to you, but a paper boat to me means, I don't know. It's so fragile, but yet it floats. That's gonna be annoying to stop. Paper boat. Damn, bro. The winds of change ain't blowing. Anyway, we gotta figure out who's in charge and stick with them, you feel me, bro? We gotta get in good with Rima. I'm not reading that out loud. I don't know what that means. I don't trust him anymore. Happy birthday, Hatsune Miku! Her name is Hatsune Miku. If I see one more of you call her the Fortnite girl, I'm gonna freak out. What was I saying? Fucking... Come on!
But the best part was who she was doing it with. She started collabing with two other massive independent VTubers, Doobie and Nimi. And if you'd been around for years, those two were not strangers. Without anyone being legally allowed to say it out loud, Doobie was the woman who used to be Amelia Watson, and Nimi was the one who used to be Sarah's Fauna. Saba's old whole life family scattered to independence, finding each other again on the other side. Which means when Saba and Doobie collabed, it was Ame-Same again, the duo that defined an entire era of HoloLive back together. Except now they had to perform this little strange ritual where they pretended to be meeting for the first time. Think of it like this elaborate manners of an 18th century dinner party where everyone at the table knows a certain scandalous fact about someone precisely because everyone knows nobody is permitted to say it. The whole thing runs on a polite, agreed upon fiction. So that's what this was. Two best friends of half a decade introducing themselves to each other like polite strangers. Both of them perfectly aware that the other one knows and the audience knows, but the rule is that the words can never actually be spoken. You can watch them wing their way through it in real time here.
Here, eat this.
Wait, is it good to eat?
Yeah, it's good. Do you think I would poison you?
I don't know. I don't know. This is our first time meeting. Maybe.
Oh, that's right. Nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you.
And she looked happy. Watching those collabs, Saba seemed genuinely comfortable, relaxed, laughing, doing this because she wanted to be there. That was the dream version of going independent. No corporate structure choking you down. You keep all your money because nobody's taking a cut. There was no idle obligations, no flying back and forth between countries to record, and you still get to enjoy your audience and mess around with your friends at your own pace.
Uh-oh. This is how I died last time. Wait a sec. Wait. Jimmy! Tom and Jerry scream. Up, down, up, down.
My kitten. My Discord kitten.
Meow. Hello, princess. Are you ready to play another level of Peak tonight? I've turned my status to Do Not Disturb.
At this point, the public sentiment conclusion was that it was probably the corporal obligations that had been weighting her down. After all, she'd been streaming now more than ever. It just made sense. But that wasn't all. On the 16th, she commented on Kurage Roa's tweet, another ex-Hololive member who was officially reincarnated a few days later. Off-stream, it looked even better. The merch was selling so fast that Omocat had to extend the pre-orders because the original run sold out. In late July, she even made a surprise appearance at Doobie's virtual vacation summer concert, turning up unannounced to provide backup vocals. It looked like she finally had it all, and that she had finally figured out how to do things on her own terms. So you'll forgive everyone for thinking the disappearing act was finally over. Although she stayed fairly consistent all throughout the end of June and July, and fans were ecstatic. On August 1st, she mentioned needing a few days to recharge as she was very busy. Fans were understanding. After all, this happens to every creator. And a few days gap was nothing compared to the month-long gaps they were used to. Saba then resumed streaming in August. She literally had a stream the next day of that tweet, actually, and remained fairly consistent throughout the month. But then, September started considerably slowing down. She only managed 5 streams throughout the month. On September 14, she gave another update. She was dealing with health issues over the past week, and she apologized for not updating them sooner. She thanked her fans for their patience and said she'd see them when she feels better. She livestreamed 3 times in early October and then fell quiet. On October 20th, she addressed it, posting, "Yo-ho! I know it's been rather quiet over here at the lighthouse, just been chugging along. I wanted to check in with all of you. I hope you have a good Monday." And yet about a week later, on October 20th, she was back on the grind with another Alien Isolation stream, followed by another stream the very next day and a Repo collab on the 30th with Doobie and Lemu. And then she even streamed again the next day for Halloween, revealing a new scary costume. She was pushing through, she was doing fairly well. Her fanbase were blessed by a karaoke stream on November 2nd, and then another Doobie Lemu collab on the 7th, and then a Leaf It Alone stream on the 9th, and then total silence. On November 19, she posted, "Sorry for the late notice, but streams and activity will be spotty for a little while as I deal with some health-related issues. But as soon as I feel well and able, I will pop in. Thank you always for your patience." It was clear that she was still struggling with health-related issues. And still, fans stayed patient. At first, they told themselves it'd be a few days, and the gap kept on stretching. A few days became a couple of weeks. The couple of weeks became most of a month, and somewhere in there, the tone of the waiting changed. The patience started curdling into restlessness. especially with the holidays coming up. Because if you come from a corporate VTuber culture, the big holidays are sacred. The Christmas streams, the New York countdowns are company-wide events. That's when your favorite shows up, no matter what. So the fans waited. Surely she'd be back for Christmas. Some of them still believed. But Christmas came and went, still no words. And then, just a few days after Christmas, she tweeted, "Ay yo ho ho! Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, gamers! Thank you all for your patience with me throughout the year as I learned to navigate some recurring health issues. I'm still learning. Sometimes I'm good at balancing things and other times I'm terrible at it, and my health and productivity suffers from it. It's so easy to feel down when my body also feels like, well, shit. But in the end, so long as I get back up again, I'll do just that and keep her going as best as I can. Just my old lady light keeper pace. I'm so lucky to be supported by such kind friends and folks. Thank you all so much." The majority of her fan base received this message positively and wished her the best, and frankly, they were just happy to get news from her. But on the other hand, some others weren't as understanding, particularly on forum boards where some displayed more than a large amount of skepticism, while others just made the jokes that gets made every time a VTuber disappears. There was even this wild theory at one point that she had timed the update for the 20th on purpose because that's when most people's membership renew, so it's the day they decided whether to resubscribe or not. I swear one of these days I'm gonna lose it with what people type online. But regardless, fans hoped Saba would stream for New Year's Eve. Then New Year's Eve came and went and there was no words from Saba. Some did not take her skipping out on New Year's Eve well. However, she did surface again in January. Her first stream was back on the 13th. 4 streams over the month. Not much, sure, but enough to make people think that maybe the worst was over. On January 26th, she popped up as a surprise guest at Mince Phantom's concert. That was huge. And on February 5th, she announced a new merch line. And the same day, a pop-up event in Tokyo at the Anime Plaza in Shibuya, alongside another VTuber, Kurage Roa, who older fans will tell you used to be Shion from Hololive. So once again, a Hololive reunion in everything but name. A whole event, merch, a venue, a collaborator, and most people were genuinely excited for it. Except this particular event kicked off its own round of criticism. First, the familiar one resurfacing, that Saba only reappears to sell merch. That used to be a criticism of her all the way back when she was Gura. But some decided to take it further. If she's well enough to tweet and put together a merch line, she's well enough to give people what they actually want, which is streams. And second, the criticism centered on one specific item in particular: a happy. What happened was that the basic version, priced around $69, sold out. So the only one left was the premium version, a much pricier product, over $200. And people got upset, assuming she jacked up the price of her merch. But that wasn't it. It was simply a different higher-end item. And I doubt she had much say in the pricing at this pop-up anyway, since the numbers are one-to-one with Roa's merch sitting right next to it. As for her only showing up to announce merch, these things are planned months ahead, and they're usually contractual. Even if Saba was in a rough patch health-wise, she'd still be on the hook to promote this particular line because it's a collaboration with a third party. But still, more people were happy than unhappy. And then, finally on February 7th, 2026, she went live. Nobody knew at the time, but that would be the last stream she'd have. The hope rolled forward one more time to Valentine's Day.
Probably in February. I'm gonna be having a new outfit. Yay! Finally, this fish put some more clothing on.
The fanbase strongly believed she'd be back for it, as that was the one holiday she'd historically never missed. But then Valentine's Day was the real killer, because Valentine's came and Valentine's went, and there was no Saba. And after that, there was nothing at all. And then March, April, and the better part of May trickled by with zero communication from her. Fans started obsessively tracking her streams and comparing them with breaks she took as Gura in the past to try desperately to find an answer or establish some kind of correlation, until one Twitter post blew the lid off everything. It all started with a single post of someone deciding to cancel their membership. They tweeted, "I told myself that if she didn't stream or even make a community post by the next time this renews, I would have to cancel it. But this really is such a hard decision for me. I want to keep supporting her, but Imo, it is a little screwed up to just go AWOL without any notice. There isn't a single other VTuber I know who would take this many frequent hiatus and not even make a post. I'm not even asking for much here, just a vague, sorry about a lack of content, personal things happening, but we get nothing. Maybe I'll change my mind in the morning. But for now, I just feel kind of sad. I've been a fan of hers since her first incarnation, and it just sucks to get basically nothing from a content creator I enjoy. Like I said, I'm gonna sleep on it, but for now, this is where it stands for me. And I know y'all don't really care, but this is my social media. I'm going to vent my feelings if I want to. Saba at this point hadn't streamed in 2 entire months. And that tweet just sparked an entire discussion that lasted for days. So there were people airing out their grievances, such as, "It's really funny how Saba left, came back to announce overpriced merch, and then left again without another word." This tweet got over 1.5 million views. And just to be clear, the discussion that followed wasn't just her fanbase. Saba discussions have always pulled in casual viewers, onlookers, rival fanbases, antis, and even haters posing as fans. And it's exactly these factions fighting each other that have always exacerbated any discussions around her. And you'll see all of them in what comes next. And in this case, the discussion cut both ways as well. Plenty of people pushed back on the criticism as well. The argument being, if a friend of yours landed a job where they were successful enough to only work a few days a month and still get by, you'd be happy for them. So why aren't you happy for her? Others pointed out that membership doesn't buy you access to her, but one tweet in particular raised a sharper question. Does Saba owe at least one membership stream as a perk for paying members? As one of the perks listed on her memberships are members-only live streams. And here's the ironic part. Back when she debuted and was streaming constantly, people blamed Hololive, the corporate obligations, the pressure that was wearing her down. But now that she was independent and barely streaming, the same logic flipped completely. Maybe Hololive was actually the thing keeping her going this entire time. And so they started blaming her instead and praising Hololive. Most of the criticism slung at her during the stretch boiled down to one accusation, that she was using her fanbase as living wallets. Gawr was always a piece of shit, and the only reason she left Hololive in the first place is that they dared to demand she actually do her job instead of sitting at home collecting royalties. I and others predicted that she would do the exact same thing once becoming an indie, and here we are. Saba/Gura/Senzawa was basically playing the card of "I'm too sick, tired, etc. to stream, so please continue to support me, ooh," for the past 6 years. I get saying, well, she isn't obligated to stream for you, but you are a streamer. It's insulting to fans to just not stream. And another said, "Stop giving her money and see how fast she comes back. She is literally using y'all as a wallet, lamau. I've never seen a VTuber this blatant about not giving a fuck about their fans." The only achievement of those who left Hololive like Gura or Aqua is that they kept slacking off unchanged even after going independent. So it's the faction who brainlessly defends them with "not streaming is the management's fault" has finally disappeared. Imagine having over 1,400,000 followers and just ghosting them. And a lot of it wasn't even just aimed at her anymore. People just reached for the usual internet insults for her fanbase as well. They called them cucks, loser, simps, incels. However, amongst the memes, the anger, and the people arguing back and forth, some people pointed out something more legitimate. They believed that at the very least she owed her fanbase some communication, and if she couldn't do it herself, she should have someone else tweet or post on her behalf. No hate to Saba, but I'd say she does owe some fans some type of notice. I use the word "owe" because this is a job. When you go on vacation at work, you put your time in and let your boss know. Why does she get a pass? Not parasocial, but why are we setting double standards? And somewhere along the line throughout this discourse that had been happening ever since she was Gura, the opinion shifted from Saba cannot stream due to health issues to Saba does not want to stream because she either hates her fanbase, VTubing, or because she's simply lazy. And on top of all the not streaming criticism, she'd also been trailed by the same recycled accusations the whole time. Because she has a lolly avatar, a certain corner of the internet has always slapped her with the PDF label, or called her PDF. And this isn't new, it's followed her and her fanbase since the Gura days, with live streamer Brittany Venti casting her the first stone.
There is something called Hololive now that they do in English. They have little lollies, prepubescent girls on YouTube. And my first impression of it was, oh, is this like a child show? Is this a kid's show? Like kids can see it kind of like Dora the Explorer and like interact with it. Then I come to find out, no, actually the chat is full of 40-year-old men getting off to the depiction of a 9-year-old.
These people resurface every time she does anything, across all 3 of her personalities, like clockwork. The day of her debut, a post blew up on r/livestream fails pointing out that Gura had redebuted as Sameko Saba to 200k live viewers. And the top comments were, well, exactly what you'd expect. Why do they seem to always look like children? So wholesome she got 200k PDF watching. You can't tell me you wouldn't distance yourself or your children from a friend/family member who watches shit like this. VTubers really opened the PDF Pandora's box. The popularity of these animated children models is honestly frightening. Shame on these women for exploiting it too. Disgusting. PDF is back, can't wait for the drama from the jealous small VTubers. I'm pretty understanding of most things in life, but being over the age of like 15 and watching something like this is just weird. Really, really, really fucking weird. But her silence didn't just anger people. It left a hole others exploited as well. Since Saba doesn't have an official Discord, she never did. In fact, most of the ex-Holo members don't have a fan Discord as well. Well, except for Doobie. This is probably to put some healthy degrees of separation between them and some of the fans that get too attached. Anyways, the absence of a centralized place that is moderated for fans created a gap in her case. And this gap is often easy to fill for impersonators. Lately, especially, Hololive has been getting tons of impersonators. And around the holidays, someone ran a fake Secret Santa scam pretending to be her, with a wish list that conveniently included a Nintendo Switch 2 for the scammer. There were real fans that were missing her and who donated actual money to it before anyone figured out that it wasn't actually her. And then there was a TikTok account called Sameko Saba that's been restreaming her old YouTube VODs live, pretending to be her broadcasting in real time. People showed up to the live streams thinking it was her and donated to her through the TikTok app, which in turn had people criticize Saba for not doing enough in terms of communication to protect her fans from legitimate scammers. But then, just as everyone has started giving up hope, almost a month after the viral Twitter post, Saba finally addressed it in a member post. So here VTuber etiquette says you don't leak paid content, so I can't put it directly on stream, I can only talk about it vaguely. But she clarified a few things worth repeating here, mostly because it reads like a direct response to the criticism she's been getting. She first off opens by confirming what a lot of us already suspected, that her health hasn't been good. She says she has a chronic illness that isn't improving and that she's been feeling the worst she ever has, and that she'll get into it more when she can, but it gets her really emotional. She also says she's pausing memberships on May 25th. That one lines up pretty directly with the loudest complaint, that she was still collecting money from members while she stopped streaming. She also promised a longer public tweet in the coming days to lay out the whole situation. And most importantly, she addressed the criticism at the center of it all, the communication or lack of it with her fans about what was going on. And this is the most important part, as her silence is enabling bad actors, as we've seen throughout the video, to fill the space with their own narratives instead. At the end of the day, she said it plenty times that she's been dealing with a chronic illness on top of the pressure of fame and having to perform.
Me. All of you are looking at me. What a terrifying thought.
So it really comes down to whether or not you trust her word. Pausing memberships did raise another point worth sitting with. For the genuine fans who just wanted to support her with nothing expected in return, this also took away their ability to do that, and they might be the one impacted the hardest by this. So why does this happen? Why does a streamer taking a break curdle into people calling her lazy, a grifter, telling her to log off forever? Well, it's not random, and it's not just that fans are mean. There's a real psychological phenomenon underneath it. Core of it is that people are lonely. People want to belong to something, and a fandom is one of the few places left that reliably gives them that. Every fandom forms around liking a particular thing, and in this case, the thing is Saba. That shared liking is the price of entry, and once you're in, the actual point isn't really her anymore. It's everything that grows around her. You make friends in that chat, in this community. You recognize the same names every night. You're in on the jokes. You show up to the same place at the same time, and other people show up too. You collaborate on things. You clip her. You draw fan arts of her. And for that window of time, you're part of something. That's what a fandom built around a creator actually is. It's what experts called a ritual economy, where the creator is just the thing that everyone gathers around, and the real value to is the gathering. Think of it as like Saba is the glue holding all of these people together, which is why her going quiet does so much more damage than it looks like it should. The fans don't only lose Saba, they lost the reason the group convenes. When the stream stops, the chat thins out, the routine dissolves, the friends you only ever saw in that one place drift apart, and the whole little world that formed around her starts to come apart. For a lot of these people, that world had become the main source of belonging. It was part of their identity. It was more load-bearing than anything in their offline life. So her silence doesn't just land as a show going on a break, it lands as a community dissolving, and as the specific person who could have kept it together simply choosing not to. The fans might feel like they're losing part of their identity, losing her. And so, slowly, they start resenting her more and more and feeling like it's her fault. And that also explains why the same hiatus gets different reactions from different viewers. Some of them just shrug and say, well, I'll just pause my membership and restart it whenever she starts streaming again. But some others have total meltdowns. It also tracks with people's attachment styles. A securely attached viewer takes a break as a break. But for a viewer whose whole sense of belonging was wired into that community experience, they will take the abscess as something closer to abandonment. So it's the same event, but it has completely two different internal responses. And obviously the loudest voices in the discourse are coming disproportionately from the people who had the most writing on it socially. And when it comes specifically to Saba, consistent absences set a low baseline. So you expect little, so there's little to violate. But Saba does the opposite. She comes back, she's great, the community reassembles, everyone reinvests, and then it goes quiet again. And then it repeats. And each return rebuilds the anticipation and redeposits everyone's investment right before the next silence wipes it out. It's not just the absence that does the damage, it's the intermittency. It's the feast or famine mode that she trained her audience to be on.
You feel like you want to do so much, right? And you know people expect certain things from you, but maybe you expect things of yourself. And you feel like you try, but maybe you're not doing enough for yourself, or you feel like you're doing what you can, but still doesn't, like it's too much. You like take a moment and you just say that you are doing the best that you can, and that's all you can do. Just do what you can. I don't want to say do your best, but that's what it boils down to. Do what you can. And if anybody has a problem with what it is, school, work, whatever it is, fuck them. The world these days, it's so easy to get so stressed out and so wound up. The last thing you need is yourself in your own ear, making your life more miserable. I don't know where this came from. Just do what you can in life, alright? Don't compare your path to anybody else's. That's why they call it your life and your path done at your pace.
It's too much of an unpredictable on and off schedule, and it's almost the most destabilizing when it gets cut out. So the obvious question is, if you're this unhappy, why not just leave? Well, because they are already invested. There's a sunk cost fallacy there, but also it's comfortable and it's familiar. Humans are creatures of habits. There's no guarantee a new creator will give you the same thing with the same feeling or the same community. So you stay until the creator gives you truly nothing. It's like rewatching Lord of the Rings for the 20th time with 100 unwatched films right there. The known quantity usually wins. So here's a contradiction nobody really clocked at the time. For years the consensus was that the company was the problem, the schedule, the obligations, the machine. Go independent, the thinking went, and you'd finally get to do this on your own terms. And a lot of talents did exactly that, and it worked. But on your own terms also includes the term where you're not okay, where you go quiet, where the answer to when's the next stream is sometimes just nothing for a while. Independence was never only the freedom to thrive, it was also the freedom to disappear. We just tended to picture the first part always. So the question the whole Saba situation keeps circling back to isn't really about Saba, is it? It's what we actually want from these performers, the freedom we keep saying we want for them, or the consistency we still expect, because it's looking more and more like you don't fully get both, because freedom tends to cut both ways. So what do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Videos like this are only possible because of the wonderful people in my community. If you want to be part of that, come join the Discord at discord.gg/Rima. I've had 2 videos removed from this channel recently, and limited demonetization is a constant fight. YouTube's automated system is honestly crap, and if you want to support the channel in a way that doesn't depend on the algorithm and the obsessive censoring they are forcing upon us, Patreon is the move. As little as $5 a month, it gets you access to everything, including videos that don't make it past the moderation check here. Link in the description below. And if Patreon isn't your thing, use code CLOP at GamerSubs for 10% off, grab some merch at Wool Market, or pick up my card at the playable VTuber TCG at Rift Runners, where code RIMA will get you 10% off. Another free way to support the channel is simply to hype the video from your mobile device to push it in the algorithm. Become a member to get into the credits, like, comment, and subscribe. It all helps so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. The freedom to do this. The freedom to do this. She was always a feast or famine, even back. She was always a feast or famine streamer, content creator. As for Gura herself, she accomplished meant. She also showed up in Taco Bell. I made a whole video on exactly why she blew up the way she did and the shot. And I already made a video. People figured out that part out fast. People figured, for comparison, the previous record for fastest. For comparison, the previous record for fastest. Because if you, there's a dog barking outside. Yeah, I'm not gonna do a Yahoo. It's too cringe when I do it. The first stream back was on the 13th. But her silence didn't just anger people. It let's go Rima, focus.